Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Dr. Sadia Zafar and today I will continue my talk about the methodology of environmental impact assessment. In last lecture we have discussed about the environmental impact methodology in which we have discussed about the ad hoc methods, overlay methods, impact checklist, matrix method and network methods. Now we will discuss more about the methodology of environmental impact assessment. The checklist method is basically a variant of ad hoc method for summarizing the environmental impact in sense that it starts with a list of potential impact areas. The next step is to assess the character or nature of impact. This is usually accomplished through the use of such descriptive terms as adverse or beneficial, short-term or long-term, or may have no effect or significant effect. For example, next table provides an illustration of a typical checklist form which could be used to ensure that all important aspects of an environment impact are considered. In the actual implementation of this form, one would place a check mark as X opposite each item to indicate whether the proposed project will have an adverse effect, no effect, or beneficial effect on the item in question. For checklist method, conditions of the environment like the abiotic environment in which the structure includes the temperature gradient, wind condition and direction, composition, gases and particles, energetic conditions, pressure gradient like wind, vibration like solar, radiations like heat, light, and relations like the smoke, transformations, and transportation. And next is the hydrosphere. Its structure like the groundwater, surface water, and composition, dissolved matter like phosphate ion and nitrate ion, and the suspended solids like the heavy metals or physico-eutrophication, and the energetic level like stream or level tidal movement and velocity, etc. Its relations means relations between the atmosphere and hydrosphere. Next is the lithosphere. Its structure includes the sediment layers, water retention capacity of water holding capacity, oil retention capacity or gas retention capacity. And the composition includes the stones like granite, sediments like clay, minerals like coal, ores, etc., and gases. Energetic conditions between the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. And next is the pedosphere. Its structure includes the soil types and structure and composition like minerals, texture, humidity, permeability, pH, and the CN ratio. Relations between atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and pedosphere. Function of the environment, in which the production of function like the natural like the energy, water, minerals, and biomass. And in agricultural, social, forestry, agricultural, and the carrier function includes the transport of actions and artifacts like the living infrastructure recreation and the retention of waste materials. Information the function, the orientation like the identification and the education and industrial function like air, water, pollution indicators, and scientific information function like the fossils. Refuse the function, that is the genetic information for plant improvements. And the regulation and purification function includes the regulation of influence from cosmos, atmosphere, and hydrosphere like the ozone, noise, and radiation. And the soil regulation that includes the erosion prevention and the biotic regulation, that is the prevention of insects and other diseases. Human reaction to the environment. First is the physical health, like the physiological functions or tumor. The psychological reaction, like the aesthetic, fear, annoyance, alienation, and happiness. This figure is representing the typical project checklist by impact area. Overall, the potential impact area has two phases, the construction phase and the operating phase. The potential impact area has two parts like the land transformation and construction and the land use. In land transformation and construction, that includes the compaction and settling, erosion, ground cover, deposition, sedimentation, or precipitation, and the stability like slides, and stress or strain like the earthquakes, floods, waste control, drilling and blasting, the operational failure. These all are the components of land transformation and construction. And in land use like the open space, recreational, agricultural, residential, commercial, and industrial, that has adverse effect, no effect, or beneficial effects in both phases, the construction phase and the operating phase. The matrix method, the environmental impact on project or actions generally encompass a broad range of impacts from air and noise pollution, that affects the employment and neighborhood social structure. All of these impacts vary in magnitude as well as in their beneficial or adverse classification. As a result, a natural question arises as to what is the collective or overall environmental impact of the project or action taken. Is the project beneficial or is it adverse? To answer such a question requires a comparison of these impacts and to some extent a subjective evaluation of which impacts are more important than others. This table is representing the checklist approach to neighborhood development project. Basically, the project has three parts: the physical, socio-economic, and aesthetic. And the elements of physical are the soil and geology, sanitary, sewer system, water system, vegetation, animal life, air quality, adjacent land use, and storm drainage. And transportation system includes the streets, public transportation, and pedestrian, and the open space. And in socio-economic, the demand for services and tax base, health and safety, neighborhood viability, resident public schools, police services, and fire services. And the aesthetic includes the view, historic structures, amenity, and neighborhood character. And the impacting actions includes the action period like the residential relocation, business relocation, and the grading and construction, and the interim period, which is temporary use, and the effects of completed action are the new utility in place, new residential buildings, and new commercial buildings, and parking structures, parks and open space, historical preservation, and modification to street system. These are the effects of completed action. And in this table, different symbols have different explanations about the impact, like the small circle representing a minor negative impact, and the large circle indicates a major negative impact, and a small solid circle indicates a minor positive impact, and a large solid circle indicates a major positive impact, and the cross sign indicates an undetermined impact, and the star indicates no appreciable impact. So this is the overall impact. Sample ranking of highway improvement project alternatives. The alternative and the number of dwelling units destroyed, and the rank means the alternative like the V that don't destroy any unit and placed in rank first, and the W that destroyed the 2 units and placed in second rank, and the X alternative that destroyed the 20 units and placed in third rank, while the Y that destroyed the 24 units and placed in fourth rank. This table is representing the ranking example for 5 highway project alternatives and 7 impact areas. There are the 5 alternatives 1 to 5, and the impact areas like market access, rank, average time to civic center, and the level of service, its rank, and its average travel speed. And next is the provision of public service and the disruption of homes, its rank and number of homes taken, and the user cost, its rank and annual dollars in millions, and the noise pollution, its rank and described level at 100 feet, and disruption of business, number of business lost, and its rank. The impact areas like market access that have different alternatives, like in first the 20, second 12, third 4, fourth 8, and fifth 16, and level of service that has 5 in 1, 15 in 2, 20 in 3, and 20 in 4, and 10 in 5, and the provision of public service that has 28 in 1, 21 in 2, 7 in 3, 14 in 4, and 35 in 5, and disruption of homes 20 in 1, 30 in 2, 50 in 3, 40 in 4, and 10 in 5. User cost 2 in first and second, and fifth 1 in 3, and 3 in 4. And the noise pollution 30 in 1, 18 in 2, 24 in 3, 6 in 4, and 12 in 5. And disruption of businesses 10 in 1, 30 in 2, 50 in 3, 20 in 4, and 40 in 5. And overall total score of all impact areas are 115 in first alternative and 128 in second alternative, and 156 in third alternative, and 111 in fourth alternative, and 125 in fifth alternative. So in fourth alternative, that has minimum score 111, and the third has maximum score, that is 156. Incremental ranking example for 5 highway project alternatives and 7 impact areas. The market access has 4 in first and 5 alternative, and 3 in second and fourth alternative, and 1 in third. Level of service are 1 in first alternative, and remaining all have 2. While the provision of public service that has 4 in first and second, and 1 in third, 3 in fourth, and 5 in fifth alternative. The disruption of homes that have 5 in first, second, third, and fourth alternative, and 1 in fifth alternative. User cost that has 3 in first, second, and fifth, and 1 in third and 5 in fourth alternative. And noise pollution, that is 4 in first, 3 in second and third, 1 in fourth and 2 in fifth alternative. The disruption of businesses, 1 in first and 5 in second, third, fourth and fifth alternative. Rating example based on incremental ranking for 5 highways project alternatives and 7 impact areas. Its total score is 136 in first, 171 in second, 140 in third, 154 in fourth and 136 in 5. Means for incremental ranking, overall the second alternative have maximum score, that is 177, and the alternative first and fifth have minimum score, that is 136. There are some references, and thank you so much, dear students, for your kind attention.